find a solution. As we are about to come upon the 75th anniversary of the Holocaust, I think it's extremely important that we focus our efforts on a number of things, and one of them being education. I think it's incredibly important that we educate the next generation about the atrocities of the Holocaust, and some adults also need to be educated about the atrocities of the Holocaust. I was in Israel in July, and I had a very moving, a once-in-a-lifetime experience visiting the Yad Vashem Memorial. And if those of you who have been to Israel, you know how moving, how heartbreaking. And the people that are there giving you the tour and taking you throughout history, most of them are either victims themselves or the children of victims. And so everyone there has a story. But I gotta tell you, if I could wish one thing, it would be for every individual in this country, every individual, from its elected officials to its youngest children, to have the opportunity to visit Yad Vashem, to see what it truly means to use the term concentration camp, what it truly means to go on social media and throw out the word Nazi because you don't agree with somebody's policies, what it means to call someone a racist. These are terms that are being used regularly in our society. And I find that to be so atrocious that people just take to social media and call someone a term like that, diminishing the meaning of those words, diminishing the history of our world, and diminishing the suffering of the people, the millions of people, 6 million Jews and millions of others, who suffered, who were abused, who were murdered, who lost their relatives at the hands of Nazis. And that's what we're missing in this discussion. We can talk about condolences, we can talk about, but this meeting really is about action, as was said. And one of the things that I think we need to do more than anything is ensure that every child, not only here in New York State, but across the country, gets the education about the history of these atrocities so they know what these words mean. The second thing, the bail law. And I want Chief Corey, when he gets an opportunity to speak, if you will, Chief, to talk about the realities of what this law does. It was sold as something to help poor minority individuals. It was sold as something that was supposed to be only for low-level offenders, for first-time offenders. And it's not true. And people have to understand what this bail law does. First of all, it does nothing to guarantee your right to a speedy trial, as constitutionally protected right to a speedy trial. This law does not address that. It does not invest in our court system. It doesn't ensure that these trials are heard quicker. And that in itself is a major flaw in the law. If your goal was to ensure that people weren't kept in jail while they awaited a trial. The other thing that's very important is to know that people are being released even if they have an extensive criminal history. You could have 12, 20, 24, 35 prior arrests or convictions, and you just walk right out the street if you're in one of these eligible categories. It doesn't consider whether the individual is a threat to public safety. Someone could be dangerous to the public, as we saw the woman who was arrested for assaulting 2 Jewish Orthodox women in the streets of Brooklyn. She was released. Assault somehow was not a violent crime. I don't know, ask the district attorney how that's possible that assault is not a violent crime. But under New York State law, it's not a violent crime. and they were released onto the street, and guess what? She assaulted somebody else and was rearrested. Then she was released again, because there's no limit. You could be elected, as this, in this case, 3 times in 1 week this individual was arrested under this bail law. That's what my colleagues in Albany call reform. And it takes away judicial discretion. How many times have you read in the newspaper in the last couple of weeks, judge saying, well, we had to release them because of the new bail law, because it takes away the judge's discretion, which, by the way, is about, we have 3 separate branches for a reason. And lastly, it doesn't protect the witness. So if now you're a witness, you see a crime, are you going to think twice about maybe reporting that crime or saying what you saw to the police? Because now your information is going to have to be given 15 days from that arrest to the defense. Talk about witness intimidation. That's the reality of what this law does. And it's great to see that there are elected officials who supported it for the last year, now coming around saying that it needs to be changed. And I'm happy about that, because it does need to be changed. But this could have been something that should have been avoided to begin with. And now we have all these unintended consequences because some of our elected officials were irresponsible and supported this bill, which, by the way, was brought to us on the last day, in the middle of the night, when the budget was being passed. It wasn't even a standalone bill debated on its own merits. So that's the truth about the bail law that we have here in the state of New York. And I wanted to use my time to share that. But as it relates to hate crimes, first, the regular crimes: manslaughter, homicide, strangulation. I can go on and on with horrific examples. I don't have the time to do that today. Go to my Facebook page if you want to actually see these examples of these horrible, what has already happened in people that were released. As it relates to hate crimes, coercion, menacing, stalking, assault, aggravated assault of a child under 13, aggravated harassment. And so I'll conclude by saying thank you to the NYPD, who have to put up with this nonsense, where someone is arrested for committing a crime, and that person is released back into the street before that police officer's shift is over. And thank you to our district attorney, who is trying to do the best he can to convict people and keep our streets. But despite their pleas for bail, they're being let go by those judges in accordance to this law. So I want to say that I'm here to work with you to fix this bail law, to ensure that our children get educated on the atrocities of the Holocaust and what these hate words really mean. And we'll find other solutions as well. The governor has been talking about in his State of the State, also putting in security grant money as we have in the past for our religious institutions and organizations like this. We're also going to be looking at increasing the punishment for hate crimes. And there are a couple other things that we're working on this legislative session. But for me, first and foremost, we got to fix these bail laws. We got to fix them now. I ask you all to call your state legislator tomorrow, call the governor's office, and tell them that this is ridiculous. We need to fix these laws. And don't just say, I know that everyone up here, particularly our chief, will tell you the same thing. Thank you, everyone.